They say time heals all wounds, but anyone who's actually been there knows that's a lie. Time just puts distance between you and the noise. And when the dust finally settles, you're still left with the questions. You know, the stuff that keeps you awake at 3 in the morning, wondering what if? And if you're still here with me for part 2, I know I don't have to explain that feeling to you. Hi, I'm Retired Sergeant Danny Kuhn, and welcome back to Bulletproof First Responder, where first responders grow stronger in faith, sounder in mind, and unbreakable in purpose. In part 1 of this series, we talked about the hidden cost of this profession. I told you how stress, emotional suppression, isolation, depression, and the darkness will slowly creep into your life. I talked about the survival skills that keep you alive on the streets, on the fire ground, or in the ambulance, and how they quietly become liabilities when you take them home. And I told you about the truth you need to hear. Remember, you can be tactically sharp and emotionally exhausted at the same time. That's where we are going today. I'm going to tell you about practical recovery and faith that tells the truth. I will introduce you to a suicide interruption model. We will talk about the 3-person role and building your personal survival plan. I will tell you how to start moving from merely surviving this profession to actually healing from it. Because staying alive is the first mission, but learning how to live again is the next one. So let's get into it. Knowing what's wrong matters, but knowing and not doing anything, that won't save your life, your marriage, your faith, or your career. You can know you're stressed. You can know you're burying stuff. You can know you're pulling away from everybody, numbing out, and disappearing on the people who love you. But if nothing changes, nothing changes. So let's talk about what to do when the darkness starts moving in. First, name it. Not for drama, not for attention, just for real. I'm not okay. I'm slipping. I'm thinking dark thoughts. I don't feel safe being alone tonight. I need help. There is power in naming the threat. You know, in the streets, you don't walk past danger. You call it out. You adjust. You bring in resources. You don't walk blind into bad situations, pretending everything's fine. So why are you doing it with your mind? If the threat is inside your head, treat it like a threat. You got to slow it down. Get backup. Get distance from anything dangerous. Get another person involved so you can stay alive long enough for the storm to pass. Because of the storm, the darkness is lying. It tells you this feeling is permanent. It's not. It tells you there is no way out. There is. It tells you nobody cares. We do. And the darkness will tell you God bounced on you. Nope, he didn't. Here's a simple model. It's a suicide intervention model, or the 5 R's. It's recognize, remove, reach, remain, and recover. So let's start off. Recognize. As a first responder, you minimize your feelings. So just stop minimizing what you're going through. If you're thinking about suicide, picturing it, planning it, telling yourself your family would be better off, that is not just a bad day. That is a crisis. Take it seriously. Remove. You need to put distance between yourself and anything you could use to hurt yourself. Firearms, medication, vehicles, alcohol, whatever it is. If you're in law enforcement or the military, I know this is going to be hard because your weapon feels like it's part of you. But if you're in a suicidal spiral, getting temporary distance from it is not weakness. It is tactics. It's buying yourself time. Reach. Call somebody. Don't text. Call. Let them hear your voice. Say it straight. I'm having suicidal thoughts. I need you to stay on the phone with me. And you know, for help, you can always call Cop Line or the Fire EMS Helpline. These are suicide prevention hotlines for cops, firefighters, medics, dispatchers, and their families, staffed by trained, retired cops and firefighters. Remain. Don't go back to being alone after you've reached out. Stay on the phone. Have somebody come through. Get to somewhere you're not alone with the lie. The emergency room, the station, a church, a friend's place. Anywhere there's another human being with you. Recover. After the immediate crisis passes, build a real plan. Counseling, peer support, medical evaluation. You got to fix your sleep. Check yourself. Get accountable. Because the goal is not just surviving the night, it is to build a life where that night is less likely to come back. Now, not every dark moment is a full-on crisis. Sometimes you're just overloaded, anxious, angry, still out there on that call, even though you're at home. Your nervous system just needs a tactical reset. So here's one. Use it after a hard call, before you walk into the house, when you're sitting in the driveway knowing your family is about to get the worst version of you. So here it is. Step 1, stop before you go in. Sit in the car for a minute, not to hide, to reset. Put both feet on the floor. Relax your jaw, drop your shoulders. Just sit for a few seconds. Second, breathe, and breathe for real. You've heard me say this, and it's for real. Box, breathe. In through your nose, 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Do that 5 times. That longer exhale tells your body the threat is gone. It works, use it. Say the transition out loud. I'm not playing, say it out loud. The call is over. I'm home. My family is not the threat. I'm not bringing the scene inside. Step 5, hand it over. Give it to God. Just say a quick prayer. Lord, I'm carrying more than I should. Help me set it down before I hurt the people I love. That's not fancy, that's real. Then you walk in with attention. Do one small thing when you go in. Hug your spouse. Ask your kid how their day was. Pet the dog and don't kick the cat. Take a shower, get a glass of water. Your family should not have to compete with the job for your humanity every night. So now I'm going to talk about the 3-person rule. You need at least 3 people in your corner. I'm not talking about 3 drinking buddies or 3 people who only know the cool version of you. I'm talking about 3 real ones. Number 1, a peer. Someone who understands the job. Somebody you can call and just say, I had a bad one. And they already know what that means, so you don't have to explain it. 1 professional. A counselor, therapist, doctor, chaplain, pastor, coach, or peer support clinician. Somebody trained to help you actually process what you've been hauling around. And lastly, 1 personal anchor. A spouse, close friend, family member, mentor, somebody who knows you outside the uniform. Because if all your support comes from the job, and the job is the thing that's hurting you, you've got nothing. You need a support system that's stronger than your silence. Faith-based recovery is not pretending the pain doesn't exist. It's bringing pain under God's authority. That's a real difference. When you're fronting, it sounds like, I'm good. God's got it. Don't need to talk about it. Just need to pray more. Faith sounds like, God, I'm hurting. I need wisdom. Send the right people. Give me the nerve to tell the truth. Help me move when I feel ashamed. Because prayer matters. The prayer cannot become an excuse to avoid action. If your house is on fire, you pray and call the fire department. If you're having chest pains, you pray and go to the emergency room. If you're suicidal, you pray and you call for help. God answers through people, counselors, doctors, and chaplains. He answers through a brother or sister who picks up the phone and a spouse who won't let you disappear. So don't turn down the help God might be sending you just because it doesn't look spiritual. So here's how to get out of the darkness by dealing with the 3 things dragging you down. Sleep. Sleep is not a luxury. It is survival equipment. When you're running on no sleep, your judgment tanks, your emotional control goes, and your thoughts get darker. In fact, numerous studies have shown that after 18 hours of no sleep, your system is equivalent to a 0.05 drunk. And at 24 hours, it rises up to 0.10. So if you're already stressed or depressed, bad sleep is like pouring gasoline on it. Protect your sleep like it's tactical gear. Have a dark room, a cool room. Get your phone out of reach. cut the caffeine early, and talk to a sleep specialist if needed. Alcohol. Alcohol is deeply rooted in the first responder community, and it's a liar. It tells you it's going to help, but it's just running up a tab. It might numb you out for a few hours, but it makes everything worse. Your sleep, your mood, your anger, your impulse control. If you're using alcohol to shut off the memories, you are not healing. You're pushing the bill back, and that bill always comes due. That's not a judgment call, but if you need alcohol to cope, if you're hiding it, if your family is saying something, if you're pouring more after bad calls, that's a warning light. Don't ignore it. Isolation. Isolation is real, and it feels safe because nobody can get into your business. But isolation is where your darkest thoughts get the most airtime. You need connection before you feel like connecting, so schedule it. Get a cup with someone you trust. Go to church, even if you sit in the back and don't say anything. Make a peer support call. Take a walk with your spouse or a friend. Don't wait until you feel like it, because depression kills the feeling first, and you gotta move before it does. I want to tell you about something. It's called post-traumatic growth. That doesn't mean the trauma was good, or the call was worth it, or God caused the evil so you could learn something. It means that after trauma, with the right support, reflection, treatment, faith, and time, you can actually grow. Deeper faith, clearer priorities, more compassion, stronger relationships, a real sense of purpose that goes past the badge. But that growth is not automatic. Pain by itself doesn't make you better. Pain processed with honesty and support that can become part of your testimony does. Unprocessed pain becomes poison, and that's the difference. The same event can harden you or humble you. It can push you into isolation or teach you how to reach out, or wreck your faith or drive you deeper into God. It can make you bitter, or it can make you more real, more grounded, more useful to someone else who's stuck in the dark. But you got to participate in the healing. You can't just wait for time to fix what actually needs truth, support, and surrender, because time does not heal all wounds. John 1, verses 4 and 5 says, "In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." This verse tells you that no matter where you are, God will turn your darkness into light. Therefore, you should not be afraid, for there is always hope, as God has the victory. Walking towards the light is not just something you do on Sunday and then coast the rest of the week. To stay in the light, you need to read Scripture before you pick up your phone. You need to pray. Just have an honest conversation with God. Move your body. Get 30 minutes of exercise daily. Drink water. Eat like you actually respect yourself. Talk to somebody before you start pulling away. Protect your sleep. When your family gets the overflow of your stress, and they will, own it and ask for forgiveness. Get into counseling before your life is already on fire. Stay connected to your church community even when it feels far. Serve, but don't use serving to dodge your own healing. And when you fall short, you will. Get back up. The goal is not perfection. The goal is direction. Which way are you moving? Toward darkness or towards light? That's the question. So let's bring this home. If you're feeling broken right now, I'm talking to you specifically. Because somewhere along the way, you started believing the damage was permanent. That whoever you were before, the one who had peace, who slept through the night, who laughed without faking it, that person was just gone. And all your family got was stuck with the leftovers. And you started believing God helps other people, just not you. So hear this. Broken does not mean finished. Wounded does not mean worthless. Struggling does not mean you're disqualified. And darkness does not mean God has left the building. Psalm 147, verse 3. He heals the broken and bandages their wounds. God does not look away from wounds. He moves towards them. But healing needs honesty. You can't keep covering the wound and expect it to close cleanly. You can't keep bleeding through your anger, your silence, your drinking, your disappearing acts, and then wonder why people who love you keep backing away. Stop protecting the damage. Start dealing with it. That's hard. But staying broken is harder. Here's the hard truth. The people closest to you get what you refuse to process. Your spouse gets the silence. Your kids get the irritability. Your friends get the distance. Your crew gets the dark humor. Your body gets the stress. Your soul gets the weight. And sadly, God gets the version of you that only shows up when everything else is already falling apart. That's not condemnation. That's your check engine light. Because a job might explain some of your behavior, it doesn't excuse all of it. Trauma explains why you react the way you do. But healing still requires you to take responsibility. If you snapped at your spouse, own it. If you scared your kids with your anger, own it. If you've been using the job to stay away from people who love you, own it. Not to drown in shame, to start making it right. A simple straight-up apology can open a door. I know I haven't been myself. I know I've been angry. I know I've been bringing the job home. I'm getting help. I'm done pretending. That kind of honesty can change the whole temperature in your house. It won't fix everything overnight, but it starts something real. And truth is where healing begins. If you're in leadership at your agency, this one's for you. Culture is not what's in the policy manual. Culture is what your people believe will happen to them if they tell the truth. If they believe they're going to get clowned, labeled, punished, or cut loose when they're struggling, they will hide it. And hidden pain becomes dangerous pain. You don't need to become a therapist. That's not your role. But you need to be the kind of leader who notices, who sees the high performer suddenly start slipping, the quiet one who even gets quieter, the angry one going a little darker, the funny ones who jokes start sound a little too close to the truth, the solid employee who starts calling in, pulling back, or getting complaints. Real leadership means you ask that second question, not that just, you good? Because everybody says yes to that. Ask, nah, for real. How you doing? What did you do with that call? Who you talking to? You getting enough sleep? You safe? You need me to hang out with you for a little bit? And if somebody tells you they're having suicidal thoughts, do not leave them alone. Do not make it gossip. Do not lead with discipline. Make it about safety first. Make it about them. Stay with them. Get help. Follow your agent's policy. But don't hide behind policy when a real human being is standing in front of you. Because people remember who showed up when they were in the pit. You be that person. Now I'm going to talk to the faith community for a minute. Pastors, elders, deacons. Listen up. A lot of first responders are sitting in your congregation carrying things that they will never say out loud. They've seen evil up close, heard sounds most people can't even imagine, delivered death notifications, held pressure on wounds, trained to keep somebody alive, fought to save children, stood in homes that were completely destroyed by violence, addiction, abuse. And then they walked into church on Sunday. And sometimes all they got were surface answers. Just pray more. You need to forgive. Be joyful. Those things may be connected to healing, but said carelessly to somebody who's bleeding on the inside, they sound less like support and more like, I don't really want to deal with your stuff. First responders need churches that can handle hard stories, pastors who can sit in silence without rushing in to fix it, men's group where somebody can say, I'm not okay, without getting treated like a project, communities that understand faith and counseling are not enemies. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing a church can do is help somebody stay alive long enough to experience hope again. You've seen the worst of it. What people do to children, what addiction does to families, what violence does to bodies, and what betrayal does to trust. Death shows up with no warning, and that kind of exposure changes how you see everything. But you cannot let the worst of humanity become your whole picture of humanity. If all you see is evil, eventually you stop recognizing good. And if you can't recognize good anymore, you stop fighting for it. Darkness attacks your identity. It tells you you're alone, you're dirty, you're too far gone. You're only worth something when you're working. You're a burden when you're hurting. You're disqualified because you struggle. But you know what? The Word of God says something different. God says you are more than what you have seen, more than what you have done, more than what you couldn't stop. You are the person made in the image of God, loved by God, and not beyond His reach. Before we close, I want you to think about this. Do you have a plan for your worst night? Not a vague idea, a real plan. Because when the darkness hits, your brain is not going to be working at full capacity. You need the plan before the crisis. Write it down. Put it on your phone. Share it with somebody you trust. Here's a guideline. Identify the one warning sign, the trigger you need to take seriously. Maybe it's isolation. Maybe it's the drinking. Maybe it's not sleeping, or the rage coming up, or thoughts about your family being better off without you. Name it. Be specific about it. Who are the 3 people you can call? A peer, a family member, or a close friend, a professional, or a chaplain. Name the 3 places you can go. A firehouse, a police station, a church, a hospital, a trusted friend's house. What one move you can do to create distance from anything dangerous? Who can hold your guns for you? Who can secure your meds? What is the safest move I can make tonight? Write down one truth you can use when your mind starts lying. This moment is not the whole story. My family needs me alive. God hasn't abandoned me. I don't make permanent decisions in temporary darkness. I will call before I do anything. That is not being dramatic. That is preparation. You train for active shooters, for structure fires, for cardiac arrest, for mass casualty incidents. You also need to train for your worst night. Let's get back to the basics. Healing always starts with simple things done consistently. Sleep, prayer, scripture, moving your body, an honest conversation with someone you trust. Counseling, peer support, church, water, sunlight. You don't have to rebuild everything in a day. You just have to stop feeding the darkness. So here's where we land. If you're doing all right, check on somebody who's not. Don't send the lazy text, you good. Call them, pull up on them, look them in the eye, and ask the second question. If you're slipping, tell somebody. Today. Not someday, today. If you're in crisis right now, call now. Help is available. For law enforcement, call Copline. 1-800-COPLINE. 1-800-267-5463. Again, 1-800-267-5463. For firefighters and medics, call the Fire EMS helpline. 1-800-731-FIRE. 1-800-731-3473. Again, 1-800-731-3473. Or you can call or text the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. And if you're in immediate danger, call 911. Stay alive. That's the first mission. Everything else can get worked out, but you got to stay alive. Because the darkness is real. You've seen it, smelled it, heard it, carried it home in ways you never signed up for. But the darkness is not stronger than God. The valley is not the end of the road. The wound is not the end of the story. Remember Psalm 23, even when I walk through the darkest valley, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Through. That's the word. Not stuck in, not buried in, not abandoned in, through. You may be in the valley right now, but keep walking. Get back up. Tell the truth. Let people help you. Open the word. Pray for real. Get professional help. Put distance between you and anything that can turn one dark night into a permanent tragedy. And hold on to this. God still restores. God still rescues. God still meets people in the dark. So if you're still breathing, He is not done with you. And remember, while people and events can steal moments from your life, they do not have the power to steal your future unless you give it to them. Set your priorities. God first, family second, the job further down the ladder. Stay safe, stay alive, stay in the fight, and keep walking toward the light. I'm retired Sergeant Danny Kuhn. And remember, coming home whole matters because some calls don't stay at the scene.